Oh, in the afternoon.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. For a second, I was like, wait a minute. Yes, in the afternoon.
And
Gotcha.
then heading home and then attempting to catch up on everything else, not keeping up on everything else, going to sleep at about 10, then waking up at about 3.
Fuck, dude.
Been doing that for 2 weeks straight now.
Yep. Seem to be dealing with it okay.
The only reason I'm tired today is because I got back late yesterday. Anyways, yesterday delayed everything and it made it, yeah. Normally it's actually not this bad. Most days I'm actually pretty decent. But.
Sure. By the way, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, your host, Gavin.
And I, your co-host, Justin.
So, that was Justin talking about things he needs to... Basically, your new life.
Yes. So, for those who haven't listened to... I've basically touched on it 2 weeks ago, and then last week I touched on it a little bit, but more or less I have the process nailed down of what I'm doing. So, long story short, with my business being up and coming and new,
sure,
it's not nearly big enough to support me. And so I've been, kind of just out of need taking a decent amount from it, but the goal is to reduce that and try to provide for myself outside of the business so that the business can have all the money it needs to grow and prosper.
Right.
In order to do that, I started driving with the company that I left, just doing a box truck run from Salt Lake to Camas for Amazon packages to the post office. And then that also branched out into doing other things now that it's, coming to peak season where we got Black Friday and then we've got all the Christmas season coming up. And so there's a few extra things needed. So basically I start my day I wake up at 3:30. I get down to Salt Lake by 4:40. I drive and do the Camas run, which I finished about 7:20. Then I go straight to a pickup in Lehigh, which actually even more so on that, my Camas run only has like 4 pallets on it. My truck can fit 12. So the past 3 days, since it was Black Friday just a little bit ago,
just last week.
Yeah, just last week. I've been taking about 8 pallets to the Lehigh post office after Camas and then going to this other pickup, which wasn't happening before. And this other pickup's in Lehigh. I pick up there, take it back to Salt Lake to DHL, and I'm done by between 9 and 10.
Sure.
And then after that, if I don't have jobs scheduled, which is obviously the preferable choice, I'm doing Uber or Lyft or basically anything else. Basically, bottom line is I need to be making $120 minimum from whatever other activity outside of the driving from which I'm making $120 a day from, the goal being about $240 a day, which will pull me in about $5,000 a month, which I know to some people that sounds great. To me, that sounds not enough. But there's multiple reasons why that is. Having a house changes that perspective a lot.
Right.
As well as
multiple cars, insurance, gas.
The business
itself.
Yeah, because sometimes I still have to funnel things its way on top of, it's...
Well, it's because you're basically paying for another person.
It is. It's kind of its own thing.
Right.
I actually was thinking that the other day. It really is like having a child. 100%.
Financially, in a way, yes.
In every other way, too. It constantly needs attention. If you just leave it alone...
Yeah.
It's... it doesn't just go dormant like you'd think it would, because you still have to manage sales tax. You still have to be accountable to everything come tax season and whatnot. If I don't sit there and manage like all of my expenditures
there are also things like you have to constantly be in the room with the child because if it, you can't have it fall over and hit its head because then there's that kind of fear in having a child. So the physical well-being of it.
Yeah, whereas this is
in a lot of other respects it is similar.
Yeah, you're having to constantly nurture and change it and, just kind of move along. Anyways, but yeah, it's kind of a lot of work, and I've been going on this for about 2 weeks at this point, and it's been working great. Today in particular, I'm rather tired because I had a busy weekend, but
right.
But yeah, no, it's been going pretty good, and
good.
Just trying to carry on and not die.
Sure. Sure.
Luckily, I never have problems with driving and falling asleep, so that's a good news. I never have.
That's good.
Considering I drive 140 miles a day right now, yes.
Yeah.
Through Parleys every day, 2 ways.
I've been putting on a bunch of miles actually too. So with the flower business, so we do record on Tuesdays and release throughout the week.
We record on
Mondays and record or release Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Yep.
Ideally.
Ideally.
But So this last week, or sorry, not this week, but last week, we started doing these deliveries for these two companies that will remain nameless, but they are corporations, and they have white-collar employees that are fairly important, and they send out, one of them sends out Christmas wreaths every Christmas, and the other one sends out these basically floral arrangement centerpieces.
Gotcha.
And I personally don't even know how much it like how many there are of each. I think one is north of like 150 to get done in in a couple weeks, and for like one person to do that one alone is kind of a lot.
Yeah.
With just everything that's entailed with a delivery. But yeah, it was on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? I think it was on Wednesday of last week. I went from Salt Lake down to, I think I did one in Draper, and then went around the mountain into Alpine, and then delivered two there, and then delivered in Orem, and then drove up Provo Canyon to Heber, did a delivery, and then did 3 in Park City, and then came back to Salt Lake. So I don't even know what that loop is in terms of miles. Do you know? If you were to go basically the long way around?
Yeah, so run the loop again.
Salt Lake, Draper, Alpine, Orem, Heber,
okay,
Park City.
I'm guessing you went through Provo Canyon.
I did.
Okay, and Park City, and then back to Salt Lake.
Yep.
That's about 110 miles.
So that was my morning.
Yep.
And then I did like 7 or 8 deliveries up in Bountiful, Layton area.
Okay. And that's probably...
And a lot of, like, it was like North Salt Lake, Bountiful. Maybe I went to West Bountiful, actually, and then came back. So a lot of it was kind of like hugging the mountain, like driving in there and then coming out.
Gotcha.
Because I drove through... what was it? Eaglewood.
And that was probably an additional 60 because it's actually not that far as miles. Like even my house to West Valley is only 33 each way.
Right.
So you probably did.
But it does take time though.
Yeah, it's time. And so you probably did, since you were doing deliveries, you probably did about 27 each way roughly.
27 minutes?
Miles.
Oh, miles. Okay.
Yep. So you're probably your day was probably looking at around 170, 180-ish.
Yeah.
So.
It's a pretty healthy day.
Yeah,
that's not bad. I think my top was like 210 in a day. That was a lot.
Yeah, my top
for me at least.
So I've got three different tops. My top like local, so just driving around like Salt Lake, Davis County, and Provo area.
Sure.
Is about 320. Well, and then because that was going up to Tremont and a little bit as well, but always returning to the same starting point. My top for business, quote unquote, in a day is probably the time that I did Salt Lake to Vegas and back in a day, which is an hour's crunch as far as trucking is concerned, because it's like to the minute,
right? If
you can do it. But I was actually thinking of my personal most miles in a day was 1,050. Okay. And it was when I was driving home my Audi 200 Avant from Missouri. I made it from...
Oh, I'm talking about work, though.
Yeah, I know. I just thought about that one.
Sure.
Yeah, work is about... It's like
work is different when you're kind of going around in circles in the valley or up north.
Yeah.
It's different. Because, yeah, I could, fucking drive 1,000 miles tomorrow morning.
Yeah. But, yeah, as far as work is concerned, it's probably 690-ish when you do the Vegas and back. A lot. Yeah. It's a full 10.5 hours.
Yeah.
But the local is probably around 320 when I was working for Mountain Land. I would go out, do run to Tremont, and go out to Logan, come back, go down to Park City, go up to Francis, go down to Provo, come back.
Sure.
Just big old loops.
Anyways, we drive a lot.
Yes.
Compared to the normal person that puts on 10,000 miles a year.
Yeah, I mean, because ironically, this is just talking about our work driving.
Yeah.
And especially with me, that skyrockets once you consider everything that I do.
And I'm not at your level, but I put on last year, I think I put on around 17,000 on my Forester. I think another 40 on the van.
Yeah, 17 on the Forester is like pretty close to average.
I thought average is 12.
Let's pull it up. Let's use the Googles.
Sure. It might be 12 to 15. So, yeah, you might be right if it's close to average. I do believe 17 is above average.
The exact national average miles per year is 13,476.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So not too far. You're just a little north of average.
Yeah. But that's just, on one vehicle, and then I did 40 on the van.
Yep. Exactly. Let's see. Which is funny because this article is basically saying that this is from the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. NHTSA. And it's basically saying that compared to other countries, Americans drive a lot at that rate. And I drive like triple that rate.
Oh, for sure.
Or more. Well, actually more than triple that rate because I'm at 20K in just barely over 6 months on the Tacoma. Mm-hmm. That's only one of my vehicles. I've probably put about 1,000 miles on the Saab in that time, but that's probably it. And then mileage on other people's vehicles, like your Forester, there's a few hundred miles there from to and from, etc. Yeah, I mean,
doing East Canyon stuff or Antelope Island stuff or whatever.
Oh yeah.
By the way, I have an idea about Antelope Island, not related to the show, but something about that. I'll talk to you after.
Nice.
But my weekend was interesting. So I actually had a nice kind of relaxing long weekend. I worked Wednesday and took off. Thanksgiving, that happened. And then Black Friday, Friday night? No, wait. Yeah, I picked it up Saturday morning. I had an Audi A3 for 26 hours.
Oh yeah, I saw. Yeah.
So.
And a tuned Audi A3 at that.
So yes, integrated stage 2, straight pipe. It was. There was nothing to that exhaust. It was just straight out, and I don't know if it had DSG tune. I presume it actually does now because IE has gotten into that, and you can buy that package. But I mean, that puts it at around 320 horse and like over 400 foot-pounds at the wheels.
In that little thing.
Yeah, and something the size of a GTI. And honestly, that car's a really nice size. There were some aesthetic mods that have been done to it. It had lowering springs, which actually weren't bad. They were a little bouncy, but it was still well composed. I had what I thought was actually kind of a sick little carbon fiber duckbill wing on the back. The car was black, so the carbon and the black worked. And I had an RS-style front grille. Basically, the Audi badge came out. It was kind of this black honeycomb that was replaced for the grille. And, the lowering springs is probably like an inch, maybe inch and a half. It was a nice fitment to it. And car handled nice. Shifted really well. I wish it had paddles. That car doesn't come with paddle shifters apparently, so I had to shift down at the shift knob.
Interesting.
But what I did really enjoy was the ergonomics of just sitting in that car and driving it, because the length from the shift knob, like when you're in drive or when you're in sport mode or manual mode, the length from that to where the center armrest is perfect for my size arm. Gotcha. So it was super ergonomic, and the shifter was this carbon-y, like, ball shifter. So just like cruising with my left hand on 9 or 10, mostly 9, and my right hand on the shifter, it was just super duper comfortable and ergonomic.
Yeah.
Panoramic sunroof.
Nice.
Which made actually a lot of the driving was all my windows up and the sunroof open.
Oh, yeah.
And I would, under every overpass, kick down 3 gears on punch it, go, it's like that.
Because it's the 2-liter, right?
It's a 2-liter.
Yep, because it's not an RS3, it's just a A3.
Right. And I guess somewhere in there, there's a 1.8, somewhere in the lineage. I went on Wikipedia, and Wikipedia wasn't even that clear of what the U.S. got, but I do believe it's an EA 888 Gen 3, because it's like a 2017 A3.
Gotcha.
I'm curious to see what kind of Googling you'll do. I only went onto Wikipedia. I didn't actually go onto like Edmunds or Car and Driver or anything.
Let's see. Audi A3. Boom. So you're saying in the modern generation there's a 1.8 somewhere?
Yeah, I think it's the 8V generation. So I thought I saw somewhere and heard somewhere that there was a 1.8, but
yeah, 1.8. The German model.
What website are you on?
I was on
Wiki.
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at Car and Driver.
Oh wow! Over in Europe, you can get it with a 1.6 with 100 horsepower.
There's also a 1.2 in there somewhere in one of the markets, which is fucking why.
11 seconds 0 to 60 with that 1.6.
God damn.
So with the 1.2, I don't even want to think like 14.
Like, I could do a quarter mile in, the car that I drove in that time.
Pretty much, yeah.
I'm looking on Car and Driver's website right now, just looking up A3. This had S-Line badging on it.
Okay.
I don't know if it actually was. It's hard to say. Had carbon, like center dash. Like it was legit carbon.
Yeah.
There's a couple of the legit carbon bits, like on the door and stuff.
It's hard to say with the S-Line packages because they're just an appearance package for the most part.
Well, according to Car and Driver, the base makes 184 horsepower, and the sport models in the S-Line make 228.
Gotcha.
But, are there any interior photos on this? Yeah. Anyways, I'm sure it was the 2.0.
Gotcha.
It kind of sounded like it. It sounded kind of like a straight pipe GTI.
Yeah.
But it did have 4-wheel drive.
Yep.
Which is interesting because I always thought the first gen A3s were
front wheel drive.
They were a GTI.
Yep.
Just in a suit, and this was actually a little bit different. It made me start to think, like, I'm not saying I want an A3.
Oh boy. But you might want an A3.
But I would like to modify an S3.
Yeah.
I could see doing similar things to the S3 and being even faster and better.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because how I was thinking about it was, and I'm going to say this and going to put it out, out into the world, and now I'm going to have to follow through with things.
Oh, boy.
But what a nice progression, I would think, for daily drivers for me would be Mark 6 Jetta TDI Sport Wagon in brown.
Yeah.
Needs to be brown.
Okay.
Brown or green. Anyways, just being super hipster about it.
Of course.
So that, Fiesta ST after that.
Okay.
And then S3 after the Fiesta ST.
So, with me and the 3 Series ones, I don't know if I could stop at an S3. I would want an RS3.
I would too.
I just want...
Having driven the RS3 as well, I'm like...
I just want the 5-cylinder. It just makes... It's so much of a difference. It actually gives the car a character versus, like...
It does.
The S3 is a very good car.
Right.
But I don't...
If you have only one car, I would say RS3. If you wanted to have 2 cars, if you wanted to have, like, a Miata as well, then I could say... I would recommend someone getting an S3 and having some fun with that and also enjoying a Miata for what that is. But that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Because the S3 is less hair on fire.
Oh, yeah.
It's more chill, calm, not going to say executive.
Yeah, but it's not as brash.
No, it's not. But it also doesn't have a 5-cylinder. So there's that.
And there's a fairly, from stock for stock, a fairly significant difference in horsepower.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, what, 280 or 300-ish versus 450 or 430? It's like 130 or 150 horsepower deficit.
So, yeah, so 394 is what the RS3 has.
Okay.
And
is it the TTRS that's like almost 450?
Yeah, I believe so.
Which is the same fucking
and
car.
Then, yeah, 288. So it's a 100 horsepower difference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's a pretty significant difference.
It is, but...
especially in something that small.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Just thought things that are going around in my head. Took some photos of it. I enjoyed it. Oh, and so the reason why I rented this, I actually wasn't even going to rent that at first. I got this on Turo.
Yeah.
I had a 2007 XJ8, like a white on white XJ8.
Yeah.
But for some reason the heat stopped working with it. So, it being a Jag.
Yeah.
This is before I started driving it and renting it. It was like a couple days before,
and he just messaged you.
The owner was super upfront about it. Shout out to Steven. Like, honestly, like, upright dude. He felt super duper bad about it. It was the first time putting his car on Turo.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
And the car said, "No, sir."
It's like, no. The car probably knew who I was and that I was coming. He was like, I need to brake.
The car's just like, "Sir, I don't think you understand what I am. I'm a Jag. I
I'm
am
a
not a
Jag.
rental.
I'm not your Taurus.
I am not a Volkswagen."
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Anyways, so I had this leftover credit from the BMW Z4 fiasco.
Yeah.
And I had, with that leftover credit, I had to use it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would have just saved it to next year, and I would have rented that Cayman again, like driven it down to Moab or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because that would have been fucking awesome.
Oh, yeah.
But I had to use it up by the end of the year, and I thought, I gave myself a challenge. I was like, okay, like, what can I rent, like, within this amount of money? So I had $74.
So, and also within total out the door price, not just like
not
per
just
day.
your day. Yeah, because you can, like with a lot of things, there are hidden fees.
$15 per day for 3 days becomes about 60 after all said and done.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And so I cut it really close. I basically got as much car as I could get. Like, I think I maxed it out, honestly. Because
Awesome.
I got lucky on this deal with this Audi.
Yeah.
I was the first person to drive that, actually. The
Nice.
guy, shout out to Alex. He actually rents out he has an F-150 that he's had on Turo, and people have rented and people enjoy. And he had just snagged this A3. I mean, it still had paper tags on it.
Damn.
Yeah. I was driving someone else's car with paper tags on it for like 26 hours.
That's awesome. Would have been even more funny if you got pulled over.
That thought went through my head for sure. It's like, well, I mean, here's the app. Like, I can show you. Like, here's our conversations. Here's, here's how it goes. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
But anyways, so $74 total is what I had for credit, and I tried to keep it within that.
Yeah.
And with, I think it was like a $43 a day rental fee. Like, that includes 150 miles a day, which I didn't even come close to breaking. I don't think, like 120 or something.
Yeah.
And that plus like the basic insurance, which I always get.
Yep.
Because I know I'm not going to break anything. And with Turo's trip fee, I came to $73.
Damn.
I had $1 left over.
Because you have $1 to put towards whatever you rent next.
Yeah, whatever that means. But I eked out every dime from Turo with that rental experience. So basically what this means is, instead of renting a BMW Z4, you could just rent a Polaris Slingshot and a modified Audi A3.
I would say it's a better end of the deal.
I would think so. And it came with an actual key. It came with a physical key.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
I know. Not some app that's supposed to be a key, but it should have had a key to begin with.
Bah humbug.
Yep.
Where's my hat?
I don't know.
It's around here somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I had a really fun weekend though. Got to drive around. Met up with my buddy Sasha Saturday morning, whatever the second day was. Was it Saturday? No, I picked the car up Saturday and returned it Sunday. That's what happened.
Gotcha.
Sorry, my mind has been everywhere.
Oh, don't worry.
But Sunday morning I met up with my buddy Sasha, who has an ND1 Miata, and we went for a drive through Emigration and got to rip around. There was a little area near the East Canyon gate that had snow on it, so both of us ripped donuts.
Nice.
It was a good time. That's all I've got on that.
Do we want to do my crazy weekend thing that you saw on maybe the Wednesday episode?
Yeah, where are we at with time?
So we're doing okay. We got about probably 4 more minutes. But I was actually going to maybe mention this to wrap it up. So I had a fairly long weekend, but to give you an idea of just how much I've been running, I just got a text from my landlord, and to give you an idea of how my house situation works out, I don't own it yet. It's a rent-to-own situation personally between me and him.
Right.
So I still technically pay rent.
Yeah.
So I got a text. He's like, hey, I noticed there wasn't a deposit. And I was like, oh, shit. I forgot to transfer rent on yesterday. So then I went and just pulled up my bank. And I was like, wait a minute. I forgot to pay myself.
That's funny.
So all my money's sitting in my business account.
Right.
And all my savings is too, because everything's all over there except for just my whatever needs to flow through my personal checking. And
sure. It's like, oh, I forgot to do myself for payroll.
And I'm like, it's a significant enough amount that it's well over the $300 ATM limit. So I texted him. I'm like, it's going to need to be tomorrow because transfers from my business account take like 2 days.
So because they're different banks, aren't they?
Mm-hmm, they're different banks.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, I'm going to need to go into a branch tomorrow and pay myself.
Fuck. That's pretty funny, though.
That's how much. I was actually just joking with Gavin before we started this that I've lost all track of like days of the week.
Right.
I feel like such an idiot. But yeah, luckily I have a very good landlord - person I'm buying the house from. So he was just laughing.
Honestly, I still feel fucked after daylight savings.
I don't, but that's because I just feel fucked every day.
That's true.
But yeah, that was a funny little thing that just happened. It was a whole double whammy of I forgot to
just oof.
A bunch of oof that I forgot at the same time. Oh
funny.
Boy.
Well, hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. Hope you got to spend it with family and friends that you love. Hope you got to just cram your face full of excellent food. I actually had some bomb-ass turkey. Oh, my God, it was so good. But, yeah, let us know if you listen and care to message us. Let us know how your Thanksgiving was and what you're thankful for. But until next time, I've been Gavin.
And I've been a very tired Justin.
And this has been the Exhibition of Speed podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.